Yo, yo, yo. All right, welcome to Free Game Podcast. Today we're going to have like a little roundtable discussion with some of my brothers. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while now. I just want to have the right minds together to do it. But to start it off, let's just go around the table, have everybody introduce themselves and start off this way.
Man, free game shit. We back in the building. Shout out to homie Keith Jiganados letting us use the setup for today. We back at it.
Yo, it's Free Game. Your man Sean P _ rapper as well. I appreciate Keith Jigs for letting us use the equipment for today and Kane for setting up this round table.
Yeah, you already know what it is. And I ain't Supreme. I'm still Supreme. Free Game Podcast, the jewelry. You know what I'm saying? The edition. Shout out to Keith. Shout out to my brother Kane. Shout out to my brothers, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, so to start off, we're going to have a basic conversation about the race climate in the country. You know what I mean? As we know, things have gotten worse or may not have gotten worse, may still be the same. We're going to discuss a whole multitude of topics. But to start off, to kind of just break the ice, we'll kind of just go around the table. If you feel free to, jump in, you can do that as well. What do you believe is the current race climate in America, Lee?
I think it's still, to quote Lupe Fiasco, we still in the dinosaur age of it. Because, we still live in a country in America where we've been in slavery longer than we haven't been. We've only been removed for, close to getting up to around a couple 100 years. So if you go back a couple of generations, you still find the people who's not too far removed from those traditions. Right. A great-grandpa or great-great-grandpa might come from that era and pass down still some of the same traditions of that climate. So when you think about today, we still being in a dinosaur era of that. There's still a lot of those ideals floating around, not just generationally, but culturally and traditionally, being passed among groups of friends, being passed among family members, and people who still feel the same way as the great forefathers of this racist country felt. So we still in that bag right now. So it's a lot of work to be done.
For sure. Peasel?
Nah, definitely. And kind of to piggyback on Lee's point, I mean, when it comes to race, the racial climate, and especially race in America, I mean, we see it every day.
Right,
a lot of times I'll get asked, questions like, well, Sean P, what do you do for fun? What do you do for thrill, and whatnot? Yeah. I mean, well, number one, waking up black every day is a thrill. I mean, we go through tons of experiences. We go through tons of different things on a daily basis, whether or not it be in any industry that we work in or outside of work. So I just, I think that there's been a lot of things going on. Obviously, what we see and what we've gone through and what we've been through and what we are still going through. And I think I just feel like it's always going to be an issue. I mean, I really do. I feel like it's always going to be a big issue and something that we have to continue to overcome and continue to fight.
Sure. Yeah, like I'm saying, piggyback off what they saying, man. I can only speak from my perspective, as a black man. So I mean, honestly, it ain't really changed to me. I feel like it's always been consistent. Especially, I've lived in, different parts of this country,
Right.
You try and get away from it. You're like, oh, I'm like, now I'm out the hood. I'm in the suburbs, but, then you you're dealing with racism. But then, wherever you at, you're dealing with some form of it. So if we're going to talk about, policing or just, trying to get a job, based off, there's so many things I can, just constantly just throw at you. So.
Yeah, and I just kind of chime in. You feel me? I agree with all the sentiments y'all made. Like Lee said, we haven't been out of slavery as long as we was in slavery. We were slaves for 250 years, and then suffered 150 years of Jim Crow. You know what I mean? So it was a long time. It's been a long time. It's still systemic racism. So it's a lot going on. But that kind of segues into my sort of my next question for y'all. Y'all guys kind of touched on it a little bit. Has racism gotten worse or better since the civil rights era, or is there just more cameras now?
Yeah, I think it's neither. I think it's just same place where it's been.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because you can't say something's got worse when you know where we came from. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It may not
it's always been worse.
Yeah, it's always been at the bottom. It's not. It may not be as physically brutal on a day-to-day basis where you getting slaves whipped and shit like that.
Right.
But you're still seeing crucifixions on camera and shit like that now. It's the people still lynchings in modern day ways and shit. So it's still just as bad as it ever was. It just you're starting to see now. Some people are finding sympathy. Some people are actually finally coming across the line to say, okay, we can't sit by and watch this no more, which is cool. It helps, you know. I'll save some of my more detailed comments for after this, but at that point, that I don't think it's changed, better or worse yet.
For sure.
Nah, I mean, I definitely agree. I don't really think it's changed all that much, honestly. In the aspects that we've been seeing as well, there's more social media.
Yeah.
There's more cameras. Everybody's got a phone camera. Everybody records everything now, as well as dash cams on not only police cars but as well as personal whips.
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the day, there's just more. You're able to get it out more to the masses in a larger aspect. When it comes to police brutality, when it comes to killings, when it comes to we've seen recently, not only in southern states but as well as New York and Seattle, they're kidnapping people.
Yeah.
LGBTQ community, they kidnapping people.
Right.
We seen it. People seen it. I mean, so there's a lot more that's going on, and we know that.
Yeah, man. It's like it ain't really changed. I think I just be more surprised. Like, damn, this type of shit still going on today. You know what I'm saying? So. The shock value is still, very relevant. But, even we think about everything that's been going on this year year has been crazy. But think about it, man. Rodney King got beat on camera.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we seen that.
We seen it.
We seen it, yeah.
I think that's a good point. It may be the shock value has increased because we expected it to be better, or we wanted to be able to push stuff to the side and think, oh yeah, we good now, we better. We in California, everybody's together now, we diverse.
California, one of the worst.
And then you still see stuff like that, and so like he said, the shock value has increased.
Okay, I feel you on that. I agree with that. The shock value has increased. It sucks. You feel me? In 2020, we still looking on camera and it's like you get kind of numb to it at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like the whole George Floyd. You could take it even back to like Oscar Grant's, Emmett Till's. Mike Brown.
J. Cole was out there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
you get numb to that shit. My next kind of question would be, so speaking of the civil rights era, we had Dr. King, we had Malcolm, Medgar Evers, even before then, Marcus Garvey, James Baldwin. People kind of get the conception Malcolm was a civil rights activist. He was not, because the nation would not allow him to deal with civil rights, which is part of his ritual with the nation. He was more of a freedom fighter. Mm-hmm. But even so, him being one of our greatest leaders and the greatest leaders of our time, do you think we have those kind of leaders in today's generation, or is that lack of leadership kind of adding to the lack of progression towards the liberation of black people in America?
The latter part. So we don't have those type of leaders because now what you have is within black people by itself. Let's just stick with within black people among themselves. You now have separated in class, and it's a large separation. So you have obviously your entertainers and your high net worth characters in the black community. A majority of them are entertainers. Some of them are not, but the ones that we're able to see their face all the time is the entertainers. Yep. And so they're the ones out here with the jewelry on and flashy, and this is what you want to live like, right? Yeah. So when it comes down to leadership, the consensus of black people now is, well, if I'm looking for somebody to lead me, I'm looking for somebody that got something I don't got. Yeah. You can be broke and woke all you want, but if you're not leading me to another check, I'm not listening to you. When you go back to those times, you think about Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Dr. King, it wasn't about how much money they had. It was about what they were speaking and their ability to rally people behind them based on the cause. Right. Now, if you don't got no dollar, you're not rallying nobody behind you. Nope. So that's the issue we have. Are we looking to Jay-Z to be a civil rights activist?
No.
If we are, then why are we? Are we looking for Diddy to be a civil rights? Right. If we are, then why are we? What are the qualifications of these men? Not saying that they couldn't, but they haven't shown that that's what they desire to do, or that's where their brain capacity is at. Yeah. That's not in their heart. You know what I'm saying? So why are we looking to the celebrities to be our leadership? That's where, and that is the issue. We don't have the leadership, and that is why we have seen a lack of progression. That's one of the reasons. I won't say it's the only reason, because there's outside, sources to that too. Right. But within ourselves, that's the main reason within ourselves, is because we don't have no leadership. And part of that is because they always get assassinated too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's just where we at with it right now. You got to look for somebody who's really that dude as opposed to somebody who got the biggest goddamn chain on. You know.
Yeah, and before you go, Peasel, kind of piggyback off of what Leak said. That's a fact. You go. Everybody wants to look up to the person that has what they don't.
Yeah.
People often forget like for example, when Malcolm was assassinated. Malcolm died with less than $100 in his pocket.
Yeah.
His house was firebombed, and he had no life insurance policy. There's nobody to take care of his pregnant wife, who was pregnant with twins, had 4 children already, had no degree at the time, and had to figure out how to get them through school and navigate life without her husband. You know what I mean? So
That's a good
those
point.
people, people like Malcolm and Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers was killed in the driveway of his home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these people were died with. They didn't do it for the money. They didn't do it for the fame or anything like that. They did it for the cause. They were willing to die for the people. You know what I mean? Whether that be in a literal sense or whatsoever. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because you bringing up the jewelry and stuff like that. But you can go ahead with your thoughts, Peasel.
No, I mean that definitely makes sense. I mean when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, when we're talking about, we're speaking on things that are related to legislation.
Right.
We need legislation changes.
Yeah.
We need changes for law because look where we live.
You're right,
We
right.
we live in this country where we know that no changes will happen if it's not changed by law or legislation.
Right, right.
So at the end of the day, me or anybody else that's black that surrounds me or anybody that I don't know, getting into politics or getting into trying to be, a community activist or things of that nature, I don't necessarily agree that that's probably the most ideal way to do it because once you involve yourself in politics, you do understand what you are now.
Yeah.
Once you're in politics, you got to lobby and you're a lobbyist. Once you're around those type of groups, you're messing around with the government and then you got to infiltrate into those, aspects.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like, if you have a platform that you can speak from, that you can bring different people on, that to me can even get a little bit farther in this day and age. I feel like in this day and age, that's the way that, has to happen because most of the time, we're not going to be looking up to right now at this point in time, a comedian.
Yeah.
For that, we're not going to be looking up to, like to Lee's point, Jay-Z or different artists and rappers and stuff like that.
Or a Hooper.
Or a Hooper. Those people at their stature and at their level and for their occupation, that's not really a lot of their desires to do that. Because if it was, they wouldn't necessarily only be doing that.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So on to that level, I just think that, and that's why I kind of think it actually has to be even more of a group,
Right.
type of, fighting for the cause. So what you feel like, Naeem?
Man, you was making some good points because we were talking about all these entertainers and how you always, we see the pictures of the Rock Nation brunch and all that net worth, but none of them got a black bank, none of that jumping off. So I kind of just let them, be where they need to be, entertainers, all that. We hold them in high regard for that. But as far as like, black leaders, man, it's really on the grassroots level. That's where you're gonna find the people that have the most credibility for that.
Right.
And then you think about just how like, in the communities, impoverished communities, the school system, you're not getting set up to get into politics.
Right.
You're not doing none of that. You there, you like, all right, I got 1 or 2 avenues. I'm going to school and be on the straight edge, or I'm a hoop. Or
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
pretty much.
Now
I'm
I'm
play
with
ball,
you.
like-
That's
Growing up, that's all I thought it was. It was like, all right, I'm gonna either do really good in school or I'm a hoop and then get to where I
Sports,
gotta go and
music,
use it as a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even music though, because like the music programs are very limited. Not everybody can go.
extremely limited.
So, yeah, that's what I pretty much think about that. Black leaders, man.
Do you think Jay-Z would eat number one?
He do shit behind the scenes?
He
But
definitely does those
he don't
behind
want
the
to be
scenes.
the face. He can't be.
We don't think that he's ever had the opportunity to build
Yeah.
a black bank.
Yeah, no, he definitely.
He for
has.
sure. He for sure has.
for
He for sure has.
He just don't. He don't want them problems because that come with all kind of. You know what I'm saying?
You know the industry that he's in.
Exactly.
I mean, come on now.
Which leads into when you are a black leader or when you decide to become a black leader, the target that goes on your back, which is, which could be even a bigger problem as a way of white supremacy to suppress black people from wanting to be leaders because what comes with that. We've seen, like we said, how Malcolm left. We've seen how Medgar left. We've seen how Fred Hampton left. We've seen how Huey left.
Shout out to George Jackson.
And the thing about how they let, like you said, it was like the white supremacy, the white power structure of America. It was J. Edgar Hoover and his FBI that had informants infiltrate the Black Panther Party in Chicago when Fred Hampton was killed, that infiltrated the Nation of Islam and had Malcolm and Elijah Muhammad tapped for 10 years and sent anonymous letters to further their rip. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and the country always wants to praise Edgar Hoover.
Now they
so
they praised J. Edgar Hoover, but he was horrible. He didn't only blackmail and do this to black ladies. He was blackmailing presidents. He blackmailed John F. Kennedy.
And he was wearing women's clothes.
Exactly.
See,
right?
and you know what John F. Kennedy was trying to do? He was actually trying to infiltrate and close down the Federal Reserve Bank.
Exactly.
I mean, why you think he? I mean, so it's like,
we getting deep. We getting deep.
You know what I mean?
Antarctica.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, but that makes a lot of sense. When we talk about black leaders, kind of like segue, who would you say, if just like the kind of the first name that pops to you? You know, people like Malcolm are more glorified now. I'll say it like this with Malcolm. There's a version of Malcolm that people love now, but the true version of Malcolm is still hated, because the true version of Malcolm had evolved himself into a Pan-African mindset and was going to take all these African nations. It was what the leaders of these African nations going to take them to the Supreme Court, you know, to bring charges against America for black people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's that version of Malcolm that was killed, and then there's a version that was the spokesperson for the Nation of Islam, who's kind of more glorified now. There's pictures of him. He's more talked about now than he was before. So there's a version people love of him. There's the true version of him, which is still hated. When you think about black leaders, who do you think is the most either underappreciated or most forgotten black leader that we've had in our time? You know, Martin always gets his credit. Malcolm gets his credit. We still kind of talk about James Baldwin here and there, you know. So who would you say is like the most underappreciated or the black leader that doesn't get his just due?
There's a bunch of those. Man. I mean, you could say Marcus Garvey could be in that conversation. Stokely Carmichael, Medgar Evers.
Stokely doesn't get talked about at all.
A lot of those dudes, you know, get slept on when it comes to that conversation, because it always goes straight to Martin Malcolm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and King Jr. That was a different fight.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah.
You know.
But see, the issue is now, because today you couldn't even really have a leader like that, because it's too much social media and it's too much exposure to where everybody becomes a polarizing figure. So everybody's gonna have people who love them and people who hate them.
Yeah.
So once you get too much information on somebody, it opens the floodgates for everybody to develop some type of opinion on them. So once you see their imperfections, now you can kill them for that. Yep. Yeah. So take a guy like Umar Johnson, who's now going viral for talking reckless and doing funny shit.
And we've been
before that,
the NBA is a suspect.
Before that, Umar had done was working on doing good work, was dropping a lot of good jewels on his own platform as well as platforms like the Breakfast Club and whatnot.
Right.
But then you get an overexposure, and now you see him smoking game leaves out the goddamn package, and you start losing credibility. You know, so
free game.
You see that, and you see. You see cats like Brother Polite, who got off to a hot start, and then now he's in Hollywood taking pictures with white celebrities. That goes against everything he said. Yeah, and then so now because all the good work he had done before that, he gets shot down for that. Exactly. So how do you even become a black leader when you have opposing schools on everything?
Facts. Yeah. Shout out to Young Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Young Pharaoh.
And Seti. Shout out to Seti.
Yeah, and I think that's part of like the aura of some of our past leaders, like Malcolm, Medgar, Martin. You didn't know their private lives. If you knew their private lives, it came out after they died. You know what I mean? You didn't know the private life of Malcolm. You know what he spoke to when he was the spokesperson for the nation.
Social media would have been crazy
over
the Malcolm and Islam situation.
Exactly, like with Martin Luther King. Nobody knew Martin's life until after he passed away, whether it would be his, you know what I mean, his infidelities outside of his marriage or whatever, or Medgar Evers or so on and so forth. So like that was the aura of those leaders, was that you didn't know their private life. You knew what they stood for, what they wanted, the goals they tried to accomplish, and that's all you knew. That's all we needed to know. What they did.
That's all we needed to know.
What they did in their private life was none of our business.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Man, back then you used to have to send a telegram to a shorty.
Exactly.
That's a fact. Man. Nah, I mean that's the thing, and also as well, another point is that once you do have any black leaders, they always try to start ending up comparing each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So not solely just them, but we saw it with Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
I mean, even those, they were leaders in their own rights.
Yeah.
You know, specifically representing at the time two different coasts.
Yeah.
And we saw what not only the industry did, but the people around them did to pit one another against each other.
Right.
They love comparing black people to black people.
Yeah.
They love comparing Kobe and MJ and Bron. Who's better, who's worse. They love doing
They
that.
just gave both
It can
KB
never,
great.
Yeah,
They both
it can
KB
never
great.
just be a conversation of where you can have multiple black leaders. You
Yeah.
can have multiple black people
Facts.
that are great
That's true.
at the same time.
Yeah.
That's
It has
a,
to-
you know.
it has to be one or another
Yeah.
in the mindset of people.
And that's part of too what we gotta something that's within us too is
Yeah.
let him be great in his own lane. If you don't, even if you don't follow
Yeah,
or
right,
agree
right.
with exactly what the methods are, if the inspiration behind it and the overall the genesis of the movement is genuine, then you gotta let him do his thing or
Thank
her
you.
do her thing.
Let her
don't,
work. Let him
don't
work.
just because oh that's not how I would have done it, then you don't support
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying? Like. Cause then that leads to believe, okay, if that's the case, you must have all the answers, then, don't you?
Free
Exactly.
game.
Sounds like soft hating to me.
Free game. Free game.
So let's talk about some of like the prominent black organizations and groups. You know what I mean? And kind of discuss what they've done or if they could do more. Let's start off with like the Nation of Islam. Everybody knows the history of the nation, whether it be with Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm, Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so on the prominent names that have been a part. Minister
Cassius.
Farrakhan. You know what I mean? What do you think the nation's role was to, or still is, to the progressive movement of black people in the country? And do you think they've done enough, or do you think they could do more?
I think they can do more. To be honest, I haven't heard a lot come from the nation as far as official statements of where they stand on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're always gonna be on the side of black people.
Yeah.
But I just think that they can be more progressive in matters that don't strictly affect the Nation of Islam. You know,
Right, right.
Religion, yeah,
when you talk about you know, to an extent, I mean, it's warfare that's going on here. You know, and when you really look at it from the outside in, the only black military I see on this soil is the fruit of Islam.
Exactly. The
You
fruit.
know,
Yeah.
but they only ride for a certain cause. You know,
Exactly.
so. And granted, I'm not saying that they should be out here going to war for every time somebody get knocked down, but you know, I just think that they can use their presence and use some of their leadership and their discipline. That's what they have
They
that
have discipline,
the
for
rest
sure.
of Black America does not have. It's a level of
Discipline.
discipline and organizational skill.
Yeah.
I think they can do a better job at spreading that and teaching how to at least use those principles to further the movement, because they have that over everybody that I see that's black right now. Black Lives Matter does not have it like them.
No.
Black
know.
Lives Matter ain't even
Well,
ran by black.
Yeah, we can get
Well,
to that.
yeah, we can get into that, man.
You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the Nation of Islam is the only disciplined and organized black organization that I know of. They just, you know, I don't know. They got to come out and do a little something more.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. It is a little tough because you don't have several black organizations solely ran by black people
Right.
fighting for this specific cause. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, you have certain platforms that speak
Right.
on it as free game. You know, you have certain people or certain community leaders at times, you know, speak on what black people are going through, the inequality, the injustice, needing for legislation to change. So it ends up getting a little bit twisted and construed, as to Naeem's point, you know, that he
Yeah.
brought up. I mean, BLM's not ran by
Black people.
black people.
Yeah.
We are people.
So at the very top.
So at the very top,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things that's a little bit tough, because at the same time, Keith Jugs is our brother.
Right.
We mess with Jugs. We support what he does in his lane. He supports what we do in our lane.
Right. Right.
At the same time, he's not black. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't have support
Right.
for what we're doing and for what we're fighting for. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
At the
right.
end of the day, there has to be organization in that point and fighting for that specific cause,
Right.
you know, in order for them to see it. Now, granted, it's great when the government and what we're seeing is people that aren't of color,
Right.
people that aren't black, are out there still protesting in different states, still
Right.
fighting, still standing, still getting beamed with tear gas. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so that actually does help, you know, in that sense, even though it's unfortunate, it does help. in that sense for us to progress as well in small ways. But I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Right.
What was it?
So, what do you think the Nation of Islam's impact was towards the progressive movement of black people? Do you think they could do a little bit more? Because they do stuff specifically. It's more so like a
it
thing
has
like,
to be. Yeah, you clicked up and
you
we
clicked up.
exactly.
Like if you're part of the nation, then they'll ride for you. But they're not. You know what I mean? They're not.
I mean, I think. I mean, they could always do more, but I think they're probably doing as much as they could because I mean, it ain't nothing for you. They're already demonized and they trying to get Farrakhan off Twitter.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean,
they are.
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
I mean, once you know what I'm saying that, and he the one running the whole show there, so it ain't nothing for. If they try to overstep their bounds, you know what I'm saying? America could hit the kill switch any day. So I mean, it's tough, man. They probably got all kind of stuff going on behind the scenes, but they do good work.
Yeah.
So
and I feel what y'all saying about like Black Lives Matter not being ran by black people. That's the thing with a lot of kind of black organizations or black movements is. Like, for example, the March on Washington was co-opted by the government. Yeah. It went from being about the people to being this big propaganda kind of thing. Yeah. And that's why Malcolm called it the farce on Washington. You know what I mean? Which is why Elijah didn't allow him to go. Or he allowed him to go as a spectator, but not to speak. You know what I mean? So, like, it always gets co-opted by the power structure or so on and so forth. But another black organization that was and kind of still is very prominent in a way is the Black Panther Party. Yes. So when you think about the Black Panther Party, we think about Dr. Huey P. Newton, we think about Bobby Seale, Albert Howard, Sherman Ford, Reggie Ford. We think about little Bobby Hutton, and we think about obviously Chairman Fred Hampton. You know what I mean? When you think about the Black Panther Party, what do you think their impact was on the progressive movement of black people? And how about, we'll kind of throw this in there, how about the new Black Panther Party? Because there's this conception that the new Black Panther Party is a successor to the original Black Panther Party when it is not. Okay. The Black Panther.
I didn't even know there was any.
Me either.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that either.
So the original Black Panther Party kind of dissolved in 1982. The new Black Panther Party was founded in 1989 in Dallas, Texas. And after a while, around early 90s, it was led by Dr. Khalid Muhammad after he left the nation as the spokesperson. Okay. And in the foundation of Huey P. Newton, as well as Bobby Seale, who's still alive, came out and said, some of the language and rhetoric that the new Black Panther Party does use, and some of their methods are not what the original party stood for. The original party stood for, they were giving free lunches to children. They were teaching children. They were armed, but they were armed with a purpose. You know what I mean? They weren't intimidating people with voting and all that kind of stuff that the new party has done. So when you think about the original Black Panther Party and Dr. Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, Bobby Seale, what they stood for, what do you think their impact was on the black culture and the movement in the black culture?
I think it was big. Obviously, you just named a lot of the good work that they did. Obviously, Ryan Coogler got the movie he's coming out with.
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah.
It's going to be fire.
Which is going to be fire. I just hope that because with the Black Panthers, it's one of the original Black Panther Party, it's one of the greatest tragedies in the way that
it is, very much.
America and American media has destroyed and criminalized them. And went internally and broke them down so far to the point that now you see the Black Panthers as more of a icon, a logo, a Halloween costume.
That is true. That is very true. That is true.
A goddamn blaxploitation flick.
Right.
So
That's
I hope that with the Ryan Coogler movie, maybe hopefully they can shed light more on what they actually was as opposed to just the image of them. You know what I'm saying?
They got the cast look fire.
The image is going to be long lasting because it's iconic. You know how they was coming dipped with the afros and and the fists and all that. Big. They had that, but it's more to the image though. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that the movie can maybe show more of what they actually stood for and the impact and legacy of them was than just the images that we get. Show us, who Huey was. Show us who Bobby was. Show us who Fred was. Show us who Angela was.
Yeah, right.
Because there was more than just the image.
Exactly.
Right.
No, definitely. That's a really good point actually that Leek brings up. It's that a lot of times you'll find that when you do have black movements, you do have black people in certain aspects of power and of structure and organization, it gets exploited. It gets sensationalized. It gets glamorized. It gets fetishized as well, to be honest with you. So it gets to a point where there has to be something of substance seen as well on each of their lives. You know, like he was saying, Bobby Seale, Fred Hampton, you know, that's where to a certain extent, you know, not necessarily social media, but technology at the time would have been nice. Because what happens is you would see footage, you would get to see articles, you would see more people talking about it and writing about it.
Right.
As opposed to, you know, trying to look back on something that you can't even see.
Right.
You know, of the Black Panther Party and what they did, as opposed to just by names or just being shouted out or just with a fist up or, like you said, a logo, you know, in that sense. I mean, I feel like they're definitely the movie. I mean, you know, the movie, the Ryan Coogler. I mean, those should be, you know, I mean, hopefully, you know, it's a movie, so it's always kind of.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's him doing it because he did the Black Panther movie. Now he's doing a movie about, you know what I'm saying?
So at least, that's true.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, man, Black Panthers, you know what I'm saying? They was coming with that whole different energy. You arm yourself in every way, you know, spiritually, mentally, physically, all that, man. And you know, it was crazy that they had such like a revolutionary take on everything, like you said, the free lunch and everything. Like the government took that, you know what I'm saying?
And that became the school systems.
And that became the school
program. All that. So like, man, it's like Leek was saying, it's definitely a tragedy, and like I hope they shed light on it. The answer. Facts, man.
Yeah, and that's true. The original Black Panther Party, you know, I mean, it was a great tragedy. You know, they were founded kind of on the ideals of Malcolm and kind of like his by any means necessary kind of narrative. But they also took it to the next level, because one thing we always got to remember about certain leaders is when it comes to, like, for example, when it comes to Malcolm was more than by any means necessary. We cannot
Exactly. That's not strictly what he was.
We cannot belittle him to just being a quote. You know what I mean? And being Malcolm X Boulevard. He was more than that. We can't belittle Dr. King to I Have a Dream. You know what I mean?
I don't want a street change. I need a law change.
You know what I mean? We don't need just. He's more than just street names. He's more than just I've seen the mountaintop. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
These people are more than that. And kind of the way the government works is they'll take our leaders. They'll try to make us forget them, but they'll make us remember them as quotes or street names, and they were more than that. And that's where the Black Panther Party came in. You know, they were founded in '66 in Oakland, and with Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale and so on, and they took the ideals of Malcolm and kind of pushed it forward. But they were by any means necessary. They were armed with a purpose. They fed lunches. They taught children. They taught children how to be proud to be Black, how to defend themselves, how to stand up for themselves. And it is a great tragedy that they were infiltrated as most Black organizations. You know what I mean?
They changed the whole.
They changed the game, and the death of Huey P. Newton the way he went out was very sad. You know what I mean? The way Fred Hampton went out was horrible. You know what I mean? The way a lot of them went out at firefights with the police raiding Black Panther or buildings and offices.
Oh yeah, we know who.
You know what I mean? So like it's sad. It's sad. It's a tragedy for real.
They changed the game. Gun laws
they
before
exactly.
They marched right on the Capitol. Yep. And you're like, you know what? Open carry just doesn't seem right for us anymore. Like,
they changed the game completely, and I think that's kind of one of their biggest, the original members that are still very prominent and alive, like Bobby Seale and Angela, so on and so forth. I think that's part of their biggest gripe with the newer Black Panther Party is, one, you're not an actual successor to us. So the ideals you're using is not the ideals we originally created.
They would have to be the same.
And then the thing is, you guys are more so for show. You know what I mean? You guys go to, like, for the election a couple of years back, you guys were going to election booths and intimidating people who were going in to vote. You guys were doing this and doing that. That's not what the Panther Party stood for. That's not what Huey Newton and Fred Hampton and Bobby Hutton and, you know what I mean? That's not
voting.
So it's like,
don't even get me started on voting.
So it's like you guys kind of stepped on like the name and legacy of the original party. You know what I mean? And when you think about like one last organization is the NAACP. You know what I mean? NAACP has had their fair shares of ups and downs. They were very highly criticized by Malcolm. They were very highly criticized by James Baldwin and other leaders. How do you feel about them?
NAACP, these boys got all the money. Everybody donate to them every damn time.
It don't nothing happen. Don't nothing happen.
They organized the march for George Floyd at the downtown at the Golden One. And
look, man, I'm tired of people donating money and not knowing what they giving money to. Michael Jordan just finally gave some money out to the cops. Do you realize he gave money out to the cops? for them to
Y'all been working
for-
so hard, now take
so
these
they
Jordan
gon-
29s.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
You think they're gonna change the training and that's actually gonna matter, dog? Stop giving money to the cops just to go work on killing us better. Like just so they can buy an armored car, just so they can have more riot shields, dude.
Right.
Like
Man,
put some money towards something that's actually gonna help your people, not the other people.
Let's
See
not
how
even- let's-
MJ do? Bron
yeah.
created a school.
Yeah.
I mean, don't play me.
Facts.
This is true.
Let's not even
Take it back to Brian.
let's not even get into police training and all that. 'cause that's-
Yeah.
Because when you think,
NAACP get funding every single time
Every
something
single
happens. Somebody
time.
kick them some change.
yeah,
Big
I
change.
ain't seen none of it.
What about me?
Why
right,
the,
right.
the hood still got trash books?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, this
what is we talking about?
Yeah. What is we doing here?
Listen,
How is Sacramento? Let's talk about Sacramento. My homie's a teacher in Sacramento Unified.
yep,
He
right.
don't know how his
Sac High.
students is gonna get Chromebooks to do the distance learning.
Nope.
Because they apparently for some reason EGUSD got plenty money.
Yeah.
But Sac Unified don't have no money for the Chromebooks.
Wait.
crazy. And Sac Unified is it only Sac County, or is it just like all of this, the city included?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure on the
Because I think it comes down to some of these schools, you know, they're alumni or they're just tapped in to where they're getting
Of
access to
course.
funds that way.
Right.
But like you're 100% right, man. They got the trash funding. They don't got no trades in schools no more. It's kind of like
It's still the
daycare.
same education system
Yeah.
that we were in,
Yeah.
that our parents were in, that their parents was in. It's the same public school system education that we didn't see.
And then-
Read something, regurgitate.
Facts.
Read something, regurgitate.
Yep.
And like to Naeem's point, there's not even many programs to even learn trades anymore.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I remember my mom talking about back in the day years ago. She was able to do home ec. She was able to do a tax course in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then you get into like everything with COVID and how they gave banks $1 trillion a day.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
But we in the hood. The hood is underfunded for some
Right.
reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They want us in these conditions, man. That's why it's, you know what I'm saying? You just got it's. Not everybody can't go. Everybody ain't gonna make it out, but we, you know what I'm saying? We could try.
Yeah, we
right.
could try. Yeah.
So, and speaking of, kind of like you saying everybody ain't gonna make it out, kind of takes me to a thing Chairman Fred Hampton said. You know what I mean? He said you could kill a liberator, but you can't kill liberation. You could kill you could kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill revolution. You could kill a freedom fighter, but you can't kill freedom. When you hear that quote and how powerful he spoke as a 21-year-old man. Yeah, I mean, we're older now. We're older now than he ever lived to be.
Facts.
You feel me? We are older now than Chairman Fred ever lived to be. When you hear how powerful he
crazy.
spoke and how powerful that quote was,
Man.
when you think about that quote, how does that affect you? What does that mean to you when you hear him say something like that at 21 years old in the city of Chicago? How does that kind of affect you when you hear someone that young that we all like lived older than he ever did? When you hear someone speak like that, like what does that kind of feed you? What does that kind of give to you? You know what I mean? How does that make you feel? There's like
It's impressive and inspiring to show that he had the vision,
Right.
to show that he had the vision and the foresight to see past the stage that he was at.
Right.
Because at 21, it's hard.
right.
You
You
know,
don't even know what you want to do with your life at 21.
yeah, at 21, what you do have is the fire in you, right? At that
right,
time,
yeah.
you know, especially when you come into to knowledge and awareness of what's going on around you. At 21, you hot and fresh and ready.
Right.
Y'all got
You know,
me. Up,
if you look at all of us at 21, I guarantee you, we probably said some profound stuff. We just
Right.
didn't know how
Didn't know
profound
how
it
it
was
was,
because
exactly, right.
it was coming
Free.
straight out of fire. You know what I'm saying? And when you got it in your
Exactly.
spirit like that, it comes out. You know, and
right.
but for him to go ahead and say that, it just shows the power of who we are. You know, and the power of who he
right.
was.
Nah, definitely. And I feel like, honestly, even from speaking on that quote, I mean, it definitely gave an example and a little bit into the mind to dive into his mind and what he was thinking. And honestly, it shows you the maturity level at that time that where he was at mentally.
Exactly.
To be able to come up nuance to that and to realize that just because, or if it get to a situation where they kill me, that doesn't kill the ideal.
It doesn't kill the-
that doesn't kill the topic at hand.
Right.
That doesn't, I mean, similar to even how Pac was feeling at a certain time. He knew there was something that was going to be happening. He knew that that he might not necessarily be with us for a long time.
Right.
So in the time that he had, speak. Not only through his music, but obviously through any interviews, taking any interviews and speaking any time that he can. A lot of times, or even sometimes, there are certain people that may see that as what he was doing and the vulgarity at times and how he was coming across. He was speaking blunt. He was speaking direct. He was trying to speak for not only his, his people, as black people, but as well as for other artists and as well as for the world, so that so that he could see. He understood at a young age he could use his platform. Not many artists. We can't even name many artists, rappers, singers, any artists, actresses, actors that actually use their platform in the industry that they are in to speak on the red carpet when they had a Grammy Award. I mean, come on now, and I mean more than just BLM, Sean P putting the fist up. I'm talking about actually speaking about the industry that you are in. It's crazy.
Man. I mean, Fred was profound, man. Ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time.
They were afraid of him.
They were.
That's why, they
took
him out. The way they took him out
early.
You know what I'm saying?
Early.
And with the thing with Chairman Fred, for him to be 21 and have that kind of mindset and outlook at the age of 21 years old, you know what I mean? Like Naeem said, he was ahead of his time. Like he was different. You know what I mean? He in a sense, I can't obviously speak for Chairman Fred, but as we spoke about earlier, when you're in that kind of situation, you know that your days are numbered. You know what I mean? When you're in that situation, you know that you're gonna get killed. You know that you're
black,
you know that
your days are numbered.
You know that you're gonna die, but it's a matter of when and what you do with that time. And for him to do what he did with that time, Chairman Fred was not only the liberator of black people, but there was a rainbow coalition. He was trying to liberate all people. It doesn't matter if you're Indian, black, white, so on and so forth.
That's where they was like,
you know what? Coalition.
He owned something.
We owned him.
It's like when Martin Luther King said it, man. He was like, I might not be there with you, but I've already been to the mountaintop.
I've already been to the mountaintop.
Been to the mountaintop. Exactly.
Nah, that's the thing. I mean, even taking it to that. I mean, at the end of the day, for black people, where we're from, where our roots are, where we didn't never wish ill on any man or woman.
Never.
We didn't never want to attack and kill different cultures.
Exactly.
We didn't ever want to rob and steal and enslave people. We didn't want to ever be thieves and steal resources and gold. Let me talk.
Right.
I mean, come on.
You always hear that narrative when a black person gets killed by, whether it be a white person or a white police officer. Oh, what about black on black crime? I hate that narrative.
It's not real.
I hate that narrative because that is not real. When you're in the same, if we live in the same environment, it's gonna be easy for me to kill you as opposed to somebody that is living.
It's
in my
only
environment.
black people that burrow.
So when a white person kills another white person, it's not white on white crime.
Nah, they don't never say it like that.
It's only black on black crime when it's a black person doing it to another black person. If a white person goes out and kills another white person, it's not white on white crime. An Oriental person go kill another Oriental person, it's not Asian on Asian crime. You feel me? It's never like that. But for people of color, you feel me? For the original people, it's always black on black crime.
It's always different.
It's going to be that way, and that's a false narrative because it's going to be like that because we're in the same environment. This is the environment we were born into and we're raised in.
Liquor
we
stores,
know nothing other than this.
Close up on each other, no space,
no
money, I mean, it's a lot of different. It's a lot of different factors.
I be in the crib,
right?
See, big building.
So like the last little topic I wanted to touch on was is we talked about a lot of leaders, a lot of organizations, a lot of things, but we can't forget about the ladies. You think about Coretta Scott King, Dr. Betty Shabazz, Rosa Parks, Mamie Till Mobley, Merle Evers,
Angela
Davis,
and Sada Shakur.
When we talk about the ladies, I can't speak for you brothers. I feel like the ladies don't get enough credit. They're not talked about enough. We talk about the brothers, but we never mention the ladies enough. If we do, we're talking about Coretta, we're talking about Betty Shabazz, but there's ladies other than those two magnificent women who did what they did. When you think about the ladies of the movement and the ladies that fought for liberation and fought for us and over history and over time, you feel me? Do you think the ladies get enough credit? Do you think they should get more? How do you feel about the ladies and their impact on the movement and the progressive movement?
Of course, they don't get enough credit.
We know that. Societal, we know that.
Right.
In general, that's just I don't know if it's an American thing because it's in other cultures too.
Yeah,
but,
right.
A lot of the times we hesitate or refrain from giving women the just due that they deserve, and I'm glad you brought that up because. Yeah. Without thinking about it, I was just doing it. You ask us to name leaders that's been slept on, we didn't name none of the women, So,
right.
That's kind of something that's just naturally ingrained in us, which is a bad thing, but it's got to call a spade a spade. Yeah. But they for sure don't. I mean, because a lot of the time, when you see a woman out there going just as hard as a man, then it hits harder. It holds more weight because you know they only moving from a point of passion.
Right.
And I hate that it holds more weight, or that we're even in the mindset of, you know what I'm saying, when we see that.
Right.
Oh, okay, we see what she's doing. We see, you know,
A lot of the times it takes for somebody to be out there, like even during the protests, you see pregnant women out there. You see
Right,
women
Moms,
who's fighting for
yeah.
their kids. You know,
Right.
you know that's a true place that they feel like they have no other options, but they have to speak out. So, but yeah, we definitely need the women to continue. And these last protests that we've been seeing for George Floyd, they've been out there in high
droves.
representation.
big.
Hard.
Women have been out there big.
So shout out to all the black women for that. You know, women of all colors as well, but
Definitely.
specifically the black women for that, for being out there to hold it down for the team.
Yeah.
Right.
And we just gotta be there for them as well.
No, definitely, and to speak on that, I mean, it's definitely times where women definitely don't get enough credit, especially women who are leaders and
Right.
women that are not specifically at the top as well. You know, we're
Right.
talking about women that are behind the scenes, women that are in the
Yeah.
middle as well. So we need to make sure that we continue and to change that, and to change those narratives, and to make sure that we're not only empowering our women, but also recognizing our women and what women do,
Right.
and what women are fighting for.
Yeah.
Because they're just as equal as we are as men. So yeah, no, we definitely need to make have that change.
Yeah,
Right.
facts. I like seeing all the memes where it's like, you know, black women, you know, the original I wish somebody would. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
nah,
And
yeah.
they like pushing the guns
Right,
away
right.
and everything. Like
Yeah,
they've always gone hard, man. I
Yeah.
think about, you know, it's a lot of women in my family, a lot of women,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like the matriarchs run, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everything
yeah.
go through granny, and you know what I'm saying? So
It go through the women.
It does.
do. It
I mean,
has
to be honest
It
with
does.
you,
It does.
I mean, it really does.
You know, and you think about these powerful women. You think about Coretta and Dr. Betty Shabazz. They lost their husbands. You know what I mean? You think about Rosa
Rosa,
Parks
yep.
in her city, got the front of the bus. You think about Merle Evers, who lost her husband in her driveway, 6:00 in the morning, shot in the back. You know what I mean? You think about Mamie Till Mobley. You know what I mean? The death of her son is what sparked the civil rights movement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When her son was beaten, tortured, bloated, shot in the head at 14 years old, and she said, I want the casket open because I want the world to see what they did to my son. It's what sparked that movement. It's what sparked Medgar Evers at 32 years old to get up and go do what he did. It's what sparked a 26-year-old Dr. King to go do what he did.
Talk.
It's what sparked Malcolm to do what he did. You feel me? So you think about these women and how strong and powerful these women are. You feel me? It's kind of like Elijah Muhammad said at one point in life. He said, I'm not trying to build a nation of followers. I'm trying to build a nation of gods and earths. You feel me? In that mindset, the black
Yeah.
man is God, and not just one black man. Every black man is God, and
Oh,
the
yeah,
black
we know
woman,
that.
the black woman is earth. We have to
Speak.
start treating the black woman as earth. You know what I mean? When you treat Mother Nature a certain way, you recycle, you water your grass. You feel me? It blossoms and it becomes beautiful. The woman has the seed to keep growing and continue to build this world. We have to do right by these women, and not just black women, by all women. You feel me? Treat them as we
All
would the
women.
earth. They are the earth. We are gods, but we have to treat them in a certain aspect, in a certain manner, in a respectful manner. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, like, you know, if you guys have any closing statements, you know what I mean? Want to, you know, tell the people where they can follow y'all, where they can find y'all at. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Man, it's free game, man. 3 times in this bitch. To all the men out there, man up. Stop disrespecting your fucking women
Facts.
and yourselves and your peoples.
Right.
Yeah, stop hating on your people. Please stop.
Respect yourself and respect your communities and do something to make something better for somebody.
Nah, definitely. You can tap in. Free game. You know what it is. Free game at Free Game Pod on IG, as well as Sean P _rapper on IG. Holla at us. Definitely let us know. We always are willing to talk about tons of variety of different topics. You know, we allow anybody on Free Game Podcast. Free game.
Facts. To quote, you know what I'm saying, a powerful black woman, some advice: how you gonna win if you ain't right within? You feel me?
Ooh, talk.
But you already know, free gang, Stoneface Mafia. You can follow me at I'm still supreme. I ain't supreme. Yeah.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram at Arcane1X and on Twitter at Kane1X. Appreciate you, brother, sitting down and having this conversation with me. You know what I mean? It's very enlightening. It's good to have the different mindsets and perspectives. Something I've been wanting to do for a while, so I appreciate it, man. Free game.
Free game.